Thank you. And welcome to the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infant, and Children, also known as WIC, National Workforce Strategy Development Live Q&A. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review the recording that was posted last week regarding the RFA. This live Q&A will focus on the National Strategy Development RFA. It's going to be very informal since live Q&A. Hopefully you guys can come off mute or use the chat button to just ask question. Really not going to be sharing any information. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review the slides and have specific question for us. I have some colleagues here with me. Beth, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. Welcome and thank you for jumping in. We hope to be able to answer questions. I'm in the awards management division here at NIPA. So budget questions while you're developing a strategy, if you have technical questions around how to set that up or anything else regarding just how to structure the application.
And I just realized I did not introduce myself. I'm Pascale C. I'm the National Program Leader for this funding opportunity. I reside in the Division of Nutrition under the Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition. I see Steve is here. Steve, do you want to say hi to the group?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am Steve Zhang. I'm the Division Director of Food Safety Division. But also I am the Acting Division Director for the Nutrition Division. I have to share with you this WIC Workforce Development, a collaborative effort really started more than a year ago. It took a long planning, a lot of administrative support to get us here today. So we are seeing the fruition. So with that, we have put a strong team. Pascale, our national program leader, Beth Curran has been always on, in the loop, providing a lot of financial policy support. And we have Melis here to help. So today, if you have any questions relate to this new program, we have plenty of time. And I'm pretty sure they will answer most of your questions. If not today, certainly they will follow up and find the solutions for you. So with that, thank you for your interest in the program.
Thank you, Steve. So other members that are hiding behind, or Yamilis and Corinthia, also supporting the team, can't do this without them. I'm sure you guys saw the slides and are aware of them. Ebony, not sure if you wanted to say hello as well. Ebony is from the Food Nutrition Service Program.
Okay. Yes, I'm Ebony James with USDA Food and Nutrition Service, where I'm a nutritionist in the Office of Innovation and a part of this great project. So I'm just happy to be here. And like they said, hopefully we can answer any questions that you might have about the RFA. Thanks.
So I will just be, just want to highlight one thing real quick on our website regarding this RFA. As you guys know, this is a WIC Workforce Development Initiative. The RFA is posted here where everything is. The deadline, which is the key thing to remember, is April 17. Please do not miss the deadline. Always submit a couple of days before. Give you opportunity to, pick up any mistake or any things you kind of get, but do not wait to the last minute. Definitely recommend that. We added a couple of resources, the webinar, which we mentioned, which was recorded a couple of weeks ago and posted. We also added the frequently asked question, just general question. But our goal is here, if you do have a question, to also address this question and definitely update the FAQ document if we feel that, it wasn't clear in the RFA or the process. So I will post this link in the chat so that you are able to access it yourself.
Already posted.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Should beat me to it. Posted so you can access it, see some of the information. But definitely, again, as I said, this is very informal. Wanted to address any question you may have. Hopefully, you had the opportunity to review the RFA webinar and have specific questions.
You want them to unmute themselves or you want the questions in the chat?
Whatever is more comfortable, since we are a small, intimate group. If you guys want to come off mute and ask a question, or even if you have the ability to raise your hands. Not sure if that function is unable. We can call on you and answer any question. If you are here, I assume it's because you have questions, so please don't be shy. We have another 50 minutes together, so might as well ask all the questions possible.
There's one question in the chat from Mary. It says, can you talk through the application format, Beth? It's directed to Beth.
Sure.
Apologies if there was cover in the recording. That's fine. Can you talk through the application format, Beth?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question, Mary. And when you do tune into the webinar, there are 3 or 4 slides that are dedicated to the format, and most importantly, a PDF format. And Pascal, if you want, I know you delivered those slides. If you still have them in memory, we can kind of go through them.
So the one thing I can think of mine is definitely, we only accept application through the grants.gov portal. So make sure that you have everything in place already. You have a DUNS number, a UI number as required before you submit application. If you have not, please start the process now, as it's a lengthy process. The other important thing as well, NIFA only accept PDF document. Although grants.gov accept Word and different format, we only accept PDF documents. So please review those, make sure your documents into PDF format before submitting them. There's some slides right here they're showing, but I think if you review the RFA on page 15 to 16, you'll see some of the specific, not qualification, but clarification, what the requirements are as far as what to submit, the length of pages for each section, what are the sections we're looking for. It's very detailed and all the information is located. Most likely page 15, 16, maybe 17 and 18 have additional information.
And when you do get into grants.gov and download the application package, that will provide you with the budget forms and other required SF standard forms that will accompany what you write as part of your narrative.
Great, thank you. And I think if you do go back and review the slides, you will see from slide 24 on, there's a lot of information on how to apply the budget section and things like that. Well, maybe even way before, who's eligible. We do provide program overview, some stuff like that, but definitely slide 24 talks about application submission and award limitation. But the one key thing I cannot say even more is make sure to submit the application before the deadline.
Pascal, Deanna Lewis asks if no cost extensions will be allowed as part of this program.
Beth, please keep me honest. No cost extension is part of the NIFA programs. We require some general documents. There's another slide. I'm not sure, another link. Beth, I'm not sure if you can link the grants management, but usually once we have a grantee that's awarded, we usually work with them. There's a lot of resources where we kind of give them the information how to submit a no cost extension, but we'll definitely work with the entity to work if needed and if necessary.
So a 12-month no cost extension is doesn't even require NIFA prior approval. So as you work through those first few months of the new award and you recognize that you'll need more time, that's something that your entity can notify NIFA that you need more time, and we will grant that.
And the beauty about this funding opportunity, it is a cooperative agreement, which means there's constant communication between NIFA and the awardee. So we'll definitely have communication knowing where we are, where standards, where it needs to be, where we need to pivot or have some form of flexibility. So we'll definitely work with the entity that is awarded this cooperative agreement and make sure that we get to a deadline. You most likely had not had the opportunity, but I'm posting another link to the FAQ document, which I think we recently posted maybe last week, the end of last week. Maybe that's something, it's not too long, it's about 30 pages long. Maybe that's something we can go over to make sure we cover some of the most common question when it comes to this, and maybe that will generate more question. So I will share my screen and we can review it, but I posted the link so you can access it. But also feel free while I'm talking and reviewing the questions to interrupt, post your question, and Yamilis, keep me on track as I will be sharing my screen, most likely not seeing the question. So let me know if any other question comes on.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. Assuming everybody can see my screen.
Yes,
All right.
we can see it.
Thank you. So the first, like I said, it's a very short FAQ document. The first one, who's eligible to apply for this cooperative agreement. There's a very application entities. Organization eligible to apply include state agriculture experimentation, college and universities, University Research Foundation, other research institution organization, nonprofit organization, federal agencies, government agencies, national labs, private organization or corporation, individual who are in the U.S. citizens, national or permanent resident, or any group consisting 2 or more entities identified in this as listed here. We do encourage to seek and create partnership with public, private, and nonprofit organization if appropriate. So definitely we look for entities that include academic institution or other professionals, community-based organization, tribal nation, or local government entities, or partnering entities for the purpose of providing additional resources and strengthening historical failure in underserved communities. So make sure that there's a strong partnership to be able to meet the needs of the group. There's no COI, which is LOI, letter of intent needed for this funding opportunity, you could just submit an application. What if my institution is outside the US? Can we apply? No. Our eligibility institution do not include foreign or international organization, especially as we're looking at the WIC program and how it impacts the WIC program within the US. So we definitely want that eligibility institution or within the US. So that was the section regarding eligibility. If there is no question, I'll move to the program area questions.
You might want to increase the size a little.
Is it better?
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, thank you. As far as program areas, what is available funding listing? This funding is only for this funding opportunity is only 6 months and requesting $750,000 for a cooperative agreement. Can there be more than one award? No, only one award would be granted for this award. If an organization submit a multiple application or duplicate or multiple application are not allowed. So NIFA would disqualify both application if an applicant submits a duplicate or multiple submission. So that's just standard across all NIFA grants. Some of the questions that we have received so far that we included in FAQ is the start date. Our goal is to start by September 1st, 2023, but if we are able to meet before, we'll definitely work with the awarding entity and make sure it's appropriate for them and works for them. So we'll work on a date. Again, this is a cooperative agreement, so we have a little bit more collaborative approach to meeting this award. Will this award be a grant or cooperative agreement? You heard me say it multiple times. It is a cooperative agreement. And what is the difference between that? So when NIFA would be substantially involved in carrying out a project or program for which a fund is awarded, NIFA awards a corporate agreement rather than a grant because we are involved in the outcomes and the objectives of the program. Substantial involvement pertains to programmatic involvement. NIFA may apply specific terms and conditions to cooperative agreement consistent with the nature of its involvement under the cooperative agreement. So usually it may have regular meetings or regular touch points or just more feedbacks, more interactive, as opposed to a grant where an entity will tell us what they're doing and we just make sure they're doing it. Where a cooperative agreement, we more have a say on the programmatic involvement in the end product. Where can applicant obtain information about previous WIC modernization investment framework and listening session mentioned in the RFA? In the RFA, we did mention that we've done a lot of listening session. There's a lot of information. So once we make the award, the grantee will be provided with that information in order with all the listening session framework and based on which to conduct additional stakeholder forums. So all the details information from previous work will be provided to the awardee. Any subaward restriction. In general, these are just general NIFA guidelines, and Beth, keep me honest. No more than 33% may be subawarded of your total funds. NIFA will allow applicants to indicate in their proposal if they intend to subaward more than 33% of a total award, which will require NIFA approval. So before you do, if you are working your budget and thinking about it, and if you think you'll have more than 33% that you'll be subawarded, please make sure to review the section on part 4 and request for the application for more information on funding restrictions. So make sure to reach out to us and let us know if that's what you're planning to do so we can assess it, make sure it's appropriate.
Yep. And if I may, Pascale, Pascale email is the perfect place to start for that. Since she is national program leader, she can review that situation with you in the particulars of your subaward proposals. And then that needs to happen before the application comes in though. After the application deadline and as we're reviewing those, we will anticipate no more than 33% unless we've had that conversation with you before submission.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Any question about that? Because I know the program side application question might be a little bit more confusing because we are not doing our typical grant. All right, here I'll move to the budget question. Again, Beth, count you in to keep us honest. Any matching requirement? No, there's no matching requirements for this one. NIFA will not factor matching resources in the review process as an evaluation criteria. So we're not looking to see if you submit a matching. It's not one of the criteria. We do have other grants that do require that. So that's not something in this one. Does the indirect cost rates needs to be negotiated? Yes. If awarded, the applicant will be required to negotiate an indirect cost rate agreement from the cognizant federal agency. If unable to obtain a negotiated rate from its cognizant agency, the applicant is not permitted indirect cost reimbursement. There's also section 4 of the RFA that provides way more information. Beth, I'm not sure if you wanted to add any additional information to what I mentioned.
I do. I want to take another look at this question, to be honest, in front of the group. But there might also be a third option for what we call the de minimis rate. So I do want to make sure, if you have questions about indirect costs, feel free to email me directly. We can work one-on-one. But a negotiated rate would be required to receive, a full indirect cost recovery. If you don't have one, there might be other options for you as well.
Thank you, Beth. I think the de minimis is addressed in question 4, but I'll let you get to that one. If pre-award spending allowable, yes, NIFA otherwise awards recipient to incur costs up to 90 calendar days before the federal award start date. Expenses more than 90 days pre-award require prior approval from NIFA. Again, we will be working together as a cooperative agreement. Once we do make a decision, we'll reach out to the awardee. So if there's some costs that occurred prior, we can look at it, make sure it's appropriate. But usually by the time the award's made, usually we could just start making sure that the activities that are completed are for the current award, not something else before. Question 4 is the subaward, looking at indirect costs. There's a lot of NIFA terms in here. So in accordance to the TCFR part, if the sub-recipient has an approval federal recognized indirect cost rate negotiated between the sub-recipient and the federal government, the rate may be applied. If not approved rate exists, the pass-through entity must determine the appropriate rate in collaboration with sub-recipient rate in which a negotiated rate between the pass-through entity and the sub-recipient or the de minimis indirect cost rate. The pass-through entity must not require use of the de minimis indirect cost rate if the subrecipient has a federal approved rate. I'll let Beth explain all of that.
Oh, you did great. Wow. Hearing it out loud, it does sound jargony. So this really just is to highlight, if you form a collaboration and that is a subaward, that the subaward has rights of their own according to uniform guidance. So if they have a negotiated rate with a federal agency, it doesn't have to be NIFA. It could be, Department of Health and Human Service or DOD, another federal agency. They can charge that rate as part of the subaward agreement with you. You would be the pass-through in this case as the awardee. If they don't have a rate, you can work with them to identify an appropriate rate that you both agree on. It could be that de minimis rate, which is 10% of a modified total direct cost.
Thank you. And again, feel free to reach out to us. Beth, preferably, you can copy me. We can go over this, but things that we also can work out later on. Question 5 is, are grants eligible for advance payment? In accordance to 2 CFR, grantees may be paid in advance, provided that they maintain and demonstrate the willingness to maintain both written procedures that minimize the time elapsing between the transfer of grant and disbursement, and financial system that meet the standards of funding accountability. The timing and amount of advance payment must be as close as it administratively feasible for the actual disbursement of direct program and program costs and the proportionate share of any allowable indirect costs. If a grantee cannot meet the criteria for advance payment, NIFA may determine that reimbursement is the preferred method and would set reimbursement as a specific terms of the award. Again, these are general NIFA terms that we have that exist. May not be applicable, but just in case you are considering, or is it something that you wanted to know about.
And I can just elaborate. So this really has more to do with after you would receive an award and how you would go about accessing your funds. For this program and for this type of award, NIFA will utilize what's called our ASAP system, and that would be a separate portal that you'll have access to, and funds will be available to you for drawdown. You may, as alluded to in number 5, make an advance payment if you prefer, if your accounting systems are set up that you can track those advance payments and then disperse as needed. We just ask that you don't pull down so much out of your account that you're not in a timely fashion making those payments. That's the portion about administratively feasible to the actual disbursement.
Very good point. And again, the maximum award, we can go over the allocated award, which is $750,000 for a single year to be administered as a cooperative agreement. And the project is to be completed within 6 months. That's our goal, but definitely with an option of no cost extension if necessary. Again, quick and short, frequently asked question document, which is available on our website. We'll most likely will go and update some of the things as we mentioned, make sure it's appropriate, but we're hoping this probably generates some question on your end.
I just posted the link again.
Are there plans for implementation grants after this one? I'm just wondering if there's plans for like what comes next after getting the results. Will that be available? And then, yeah.
Sure. Definitely we have plans to release more information, nothing that we can unfortunately share at this time, but I don't know, Ebony, if you want to kind of give some general information about the WIC modernization plan and how this kind of our goal is like the overall projection of the project. Ebony? All right, so seems to probably have some technical difficulties. But to answer your question, yes, there'll be different projects. So our goal is to put a strategy together and have another entity to hopefully implement the strategy, but way more information will come. So please stay within our webpage, which Yamilis just posted. We'll post all the information there. And just to let you know, this program is overall, it's a small initiative in the overall FNS WIC modernization program, which I'm posting the link there as well. So you can see where it falls under some of the initiative that the White House has implemented for the WIC program. Any other questions? I really would like to give you some time back in your day if you don't have any questions, but really want to take this time and space to address any question that you may have, even if you didn't get a chance to review the previous webinar. If you're interested in applying for this um, funding opportunity, you want to give you a space where you can ask any type of question that you have, so you're aware and are confident applying. All right, for interest of time, I'll post the RFA again so you guys can see it and have all the information on how to apply. I am posting the link where you can find all the funding opportunity. The key main thing here to remember is the deadline, which is April 17. Make sure to submit the application earlier if needed. My name is Pascale Jean. Feel free to reach out. I'll put my email here as well. If you have any questions or any concern or any follow-up, or even after listening to this, you're like, oh, I forgot to ask this, or I'm not sure about this, feel free to reach out to me. And again, we have the WIC Workforce Development Initiative page where we'll be posting future RFAs, future information. Please feel free to review all the information there, but as we will update the any resources. So look at it there. Is the webinar that was recorded a couple of weeks ago and posted. The FAQ document is posted, and this FAQ document, not FAQ webinar, will also be posted once we have it all cleaned up. Thank you, Beth, for posting your contact information. Please feel free to reach out to her. But if you only reach out to me and you ask me about your question, I will put Beth in. So if you reach out to Beth and ask a program question, she'll pull me in. But if you're not sure, just email both of us. We'll make sure to get you the information.
You bet. And to the earlier question, I think I probably hadn't had enough coffee this morning yet, Mary. But I did also just post the NIFA application guide. So as you're going in grants.gov, it's available in grants.gov as well, but you can have that up side by side as you're filling out each form, and it will give you line by line instructions on what we anticipate seeing in the majority of the required forms.
Thank you for saying that. I am going to post.
Thank you, Beth.
I am going to post on one of the slides we had last time. We had great, it says grant resources. So unfortunately in here, it's not posted with the link, but if you do see the slides, there are some grant resources that we have. So as Beth posted, the application guideline was probably the most important one, but it's information about indirect costs, the NIFA policy, the grant resources, which we find very helpful in putting an application package together. But if you're unable to get the link, I'm not sure why they're not posting as links in the chat, but if you're unable to get the links, please reach out to us. We'll definitely send them to you. But you should, those resources are also on the website. All right, any more questions? I was trying to make it to 12:15 Eastern. Okay, so I don't want to keep you longer if you don't have any more questions, but you have our contact information. But if not, on the website, you'll see it as well. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, any clarifying questions or anything. Again, thank you for your time today and attending the live Q&A. You know how to reach out to us if you need anything else. Thank you all.
I'll be closing.
You can stop recording.